Willie Nelson said it best. We are on the road again. Another long road trip begins here at the Great American Ballpark on the banks of the Ohio River. It's Cincinnati, Ohio, and the Braves and Reds hook up in Game 1 of a 3-game series tonight. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome to the ballpark. Braves won 1-0 yesterday. The Reds won 1-0 yesterday. Somewhat a fitting entry for this series as the Braves and Reds split 4 games in Atlanta. We'll see what happens starting tonight here in the Queen City.
Yeah, nothing much has been decided between these two ball clubs so far this season, but they have traveled a similar path. Both clubs are in last place in their respective divisions. Both teams are 20-plus games out of first place. For the Reds, they've had it rough on both sides. Tough on the batting side, 14th in the National League in average and on-base percentage, and at the bottom of the league in so many different pitching categories. There's too many to list right here, but including home runs. This is a bandbox, of course, here at Great American Ballpark, and always Duvall and Bruce, a couple of guys you got to deal with in their lineup having good years.
And so into the fray comes Matt Wisler, who's making his first start since the All-Star break.
He is, and he made a good start, arguably his best start of the year against the Cincinnati Ball Club in Atlanta. Pitched a great ball game, pitched into the 7th inning, gave up a couple of runs. He gave up one solo homer to Duvall, but not much else really. And if he's got that kind of stuff tonight, he's got a real good chance of winning. He's got extra rest on his side too, since he had the All-Star break and then the series against the Rockies to rest up. We'll see how that affects him. There's the line against the Reds.
You mentioned the Reds' pitching problems. They've used 27 different pitchers, 12 different starters. The Braves got to look at Brandon Finnegan in Atlanta, and he was awfully good.
Yeah, they got him from the Royals, a former first-round pick by the Royals out of TCU. They got him for Johnny Cueto last year, so he's been in their rotation since the beginning of the year, and he did beat Atlanta at Turner Field. You saw real good running action there, tailing action on his fastball. There's the line against the Braves. Expect a good start from him, but he too has been pushed back a little bit of time to give him some rest because his recent work has not been very good.
So, Paul Bird, glad you're with us here in Cincinnati. What do you make of tonight's matchup, Wisler versus Finnegan?
Well, I appreciate it. And, you know, you saw that running action Joe talked about. That's a 92-mile-an-hour above average sinker. And I think that's why they traded him over for Cueto, is to get that good ground ball in this park that can be a bandbox. He's transitioning from not a lot of innings, so they've talked about, I was sitting in the manager's office with Price, they were talking about how much rest he may need in the second half. So watch how soon they go to the pen, and they'll feel him out to see if he's tired, but he does have that good break. And then how about Matt Wisler? I like the way he's been pitching, guys. I think he's thrown great. I know you guys mentioned that too, but you can say he gave up a lot of runs in Chicago, or you can say he outdueled Chris Sale on a very windy day. Key for him, pitching inside, keeping that slider down in this park, get that good ground ball. When he is on, that slider is nasty, and he's very fun to watch. Two very young pitchers learning up here, but doing a very good job. So I'm excited about this pitching matchup tonight. Back to you, Chip.
All right, Paul, we're excited to have you along for the broadcast tonight. It's Game 1 here at the Great American Small Park, as the pitchers call it. It's the Braves and Reds. Lineup's first pitch coming up right after this.
Baseball is sponsored by Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports. Ball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
It has turned out to be an absolutely gorgeous night for baseball here in Cincinnati, Ohio. The day did not begin that way. Here in the Queen City, it was thundering, pouring rain until about 11 o'clock this morning, but the skies have cleared, the humidity has cleared out. It is a real treat to come to Cincinnati with weather like this here in the middle of July. And Atlanta will face off with the Reds for the 5th time in 2016. Here's how Brian Price's defense looks. Duvall, Hamilton, and Bruce left to right in the outfield. Eugenio Suarez is 25 years young today. He's at third base. Zach Cozart, Brandon Phillips back from injury. Joey Votto at first. Tucker Barnhart's the catcher. And left-hander Brandon Finnegan is on the hill for Cincinnati.
Finnegan is 23 years old, 5'11", 200 pounds, out of Fort Worth and TCU. His lefty-righty splits, well, he has worn out the right-handers in terms of batting average against him, but not so much in the long ball. 17 of the 18 home runs he's allowed have come off the bats of right-handers, and a lot of right-handers in the lineup for the Braves tonight. As Paul said, low 90s, good sinker, good slider.
And the lineup he will face, as presented by Braves manager Brian Snitker, has Gordon Beckham leading off, Adonis Garcia second, then Freeman, Markakis, and Francoeur. Ender Inciarte is the center fielder. Anthony Recker is behind the plate. Ibar and Matt Whistler 8th and 9th on the Atlanta lineup. Braves and Reds split 4 games at Turner Field June 13th through the 16th. The Braves outscored the Reds 25-22 in those 4 games. The Reds won the first 2 games. The Braves rallied to win 9-8 and 7-2 on June 15th and 16th. That last game of the series was won by Matt Whistler, who, as Joe said, may have pitched his best game of the year against Cincinnati. So we hope for more of that as we start the road trip here at the Great American Ballpark tonight.
And the Braves have won 8 of their last 13 games on the road, so let's hope there's a continuation of that action as they start this long trip.
So Finnegan's ready to go. So is Gordon Beckham. Gordon's at second base and hitting .267. 3 homers, 17 knocked in. And the first of the night is a called strike. Ted Barrett
is the crew chief and the man in the mask calling balls and strikes.
It's funny, last night after the game, getting on the plane talking to Roger McDowell, we were talking about John Gray of the Rockies and discussing how he looks like he's working out of the stretch all the time, and we said, you know, there was another pitcher we saw that kind of did the same thing, and neither one of us could think of who it was. Well, you're looking at him, Finnegan. Just a step back and then he goes.
So Kevin Seitzer's crew has their hands full with Finnegan tonight, as Barnhart smothered that. He's a very good defensive catcher, as you know. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pitching has been one of the many problems for the Reds in what's been a 34-58 season to this point. That's on a play foul. They had a stretch this year where their bullpen gave up at least 1 run in 23 straight games. They've allowed 157 homers. Their starters ERA 6.50 in the month of July. And they've used 27 different pitchers. As a ground ball to Brandon Phillips, who's back in the lineup, and the Gold Glover makes the play for the first out of the game. So quite simply, if you don't pitch, you don't win, and the Reds haven't, and they aren't.
Well, they're either last or have given up the most in any of these categories. Their bullpen, the same thing. They are bullpen dead last in ERA in baseball. Give up a lot of walks. Give up a lot of hits, a lot of base runners, a lot of homers. Maybe the Braves can really get well offensively against these guys.
1 ball, no strikes for Adonis Garcia. And a rope into center field. Billy Hamilton will play that on a big hop, and Garcia has the first hit for the Braves. He is swinging a hot bat. Adonis now is 14 for his last 35 at the plate and has a hit in 8 of his last 10 games.
I think Adonis is at his best when he's not trying to pull the ball out of the ballpark. When he's, as he did yesterday, his last at bat, staying back, putting a good swing on the ball, he has a lot better results.
Lefty-lefty matchup now for Freddie Freeman, who takes high and tight. Maybe this is the right team, the right ballpark to get Freddie going again.
Yeah, he wore them out at Turner Field, 10 for 18. And he was coming off a dry stretch going into that series and got hot against the Reds. And he's 0 for his last 11 with a bunch of strikeouts. Maybe they are the tonic. I don't think he was feeling real good in the days that followed that little mini surgery to remove that mole. I don't think he was himself. I asked him today if he was feeling better, and he said much.
One ball, 1 strike. Swing and a miss. Of course, Freddie Freeman's family history is one filled with concern with skin cancer. His mom passed away from melanoma, and Freddie had a couple of those precancerous moles removed. And he said everything's fine as a result. Hopefully he'll have a good series. Foul back.
Good swing.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right team, right time on our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot.
Well, he was wearing out the upper sections of right field in batting practice. That told me that he was feeling better.
Adonis a short lead at first. That's bounced to the end of the Reds dugout. And Freddie's still alive. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Finnegan's 4-7 on the year. He's coming off a win against the Cubs, and he just got Freddie Freeman to swing and miss. That's out number 2 here in the first inning, and Nick Markakis, the second of 2 lefties back-to-back on the lineup card.
Good slider. Yeah, for Finnegan, he's coming off his worst start of the year, June 30th against Washington, or one of his worst starts of the year. 2+ innings, 5 hits, 5 walks, 8 runs, couple of homers. He had another start since then, but he's really scuffled in recent days.
Yeah, his line against the Cubs is really an amazing one on the 5th of July. 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, 4 homers, and he won the game.
Yeah. Well, that's why they pushed him back a little bit. He's working on 13 days rest, so they're trying to protect him a little bit, as Paul said.
Deltai fastball at 92 miles an hour, a strike. Markakis at 252, 47 RBIs. He's got a big hole to play with on the right side if he can pull a pitch. Garcia's running. The pitch is a ball. The throw to second is a strike. And Garcia is tagged out by Zach Cozart. Tucker Barnhart nails his 17th would-be base stealer. And the Braves are out of luck in the opening inning. Matt Wisler to work in the first in Cincinnati. Hit. He's erased on a stolen base attempt here in the first inning. Now the Reds come up looking for their 21st home win of the year, and they will face a well-rested Matt Wisler.
Well rested indeed. His last start July 8th, 6+ days of rest for him. 5 starts so far this year, an excellent 2.5 ERA and a low batting average again, so he should be ready to go tonight. But it leads us to our 4 keys to pitching success. 1, is it rest or rust? We'll find out right away, because he's had some first inning problems this year. A 3.11 average and 14 runs in his first inning so far, including a run given up in the first to the Reds in his start against them prior. And hold Hamilton. Billy Hamilton can really run. He's on a real good tear right now, and he's stolen 24 bases.
He'll bat second behind shortstop Zach Cozart, who's hitting .264 for the year. That's ricocheted off Recker's mask. He's all right. And Wisler's underway with a foul ball at the plate. Strike 1 for Cozart. This guy can really pick it at shortstop, and he's come a long way at the plate. 14 home runs is one away from his career high of 15. And he's hit 8 leadoff homers. So have to be extra careful of him in this first inning in this park.
As he was hacking away on that first pitch.
Fly ball toward right. Nick Markakis is going to have room. And Cozart skies out for out number 1. Here's a look at the rest of the Reds lineup. We'll get our first look at speedster Billy Hamilton. He bats in front of Joey Votto. Jay Bruce, Adam Duvall, an all-star. Brandon Phillips has missed the last couple of games with a calf problem, but he's back tonight. Eugenio Suarez is in a hitting slump, batting 7th. Barnhart and Finnegan 8th and 9th. Might be looking at the fastest guy in the game. And this is our first look at Billy Hamilton this year. He was injured, concussion problems when we saw the Reds in Atlanta. And that was called a strike, and somebody in the Reds dugout barked about that. And Ted Barrett said enough's enough. Hamilton, 6 feet tall, 160 pounds, lives in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Was second to Jacob deGrom in the Rookie of the Year voting 2 years ago. And this guy had eye-popping stolen base numbers everywhere he played in the minor leagues.
And you wonder why he's not leading off. Well, he hasn't led off that much this year. They've given him an opportunity to bat second more than any other spot in the order, just to take.
Fly ball right. Markakis gets there, shy of the track. 2 outs.
Take some of that pressure off of him, and because his on-base percentage wasn't anywhere near what Cozart's is.
Here's the Atlanta defense. Francoeur and Markakis flank Ender Inciarte in center. Garcia, Ibar, Beckham, and Freeman around the horn. Anthony Recker is back behind the plate. And here's Joey Votto. 14 homers, 42 knocked in for the Reds' first baseman. 91 walks and a .391 on base percentage. He's aggressive early in the count and out of play. Strike 1. Votto's 32 years young. He'll be 33 in September. He is signed through 2023 with a team option for 2024.
Wow.
Yep.
Still got a high on-base percentage, .391, but they would hope to get more production from him.
Ready pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Votto's a lifetime .311 hitter in the major leagues. A lifetime .423 on base percentage entering this season. And a line drive right back to the mound. And Whistler makes the play to retire Votto and the Reds in order in the bottom of the first inning. Welcome back. Braves Alumni Weekend, July 29th through the 31st. When the Phillies come to town, there'll be plenty of opportunities to see your favorite Braves legends. Go to Braves.com/Alumni Weekend for a full schedule of the Alumni Weekend events at the ballpark. Off we go to the second. And Nick Markakis will get a fresh set of strikes after Adonis Garcia was thrown out trying to steal second base in the Braves' first.
It's interesting that they're playing Nick to pull on the left side of the diamond. Cozart way up the middle, and Suarez shifted 5 or 6 steps to his left.
Phillips to his right. And he handles his second chance easily.
Did he boot one?
No, and I think we talked about that back in Atlanta. He makes the play, and it looks like he's just so nonchalant in the way he just flips the ball to first. But he's, the term I think Tom used was he's under such great control that it looks like he's just taking it easy. He is some kind of terrific second baseman.
I know he's made an error somewhere along the line. I just don't remember seeing one.
Yeah. Here's Jeff Francoeur. Jeff's in the lineup because he clobbers left-handed pitchers. 301 this season against the Southpaws. And he was a little late there. No balls, 2 strikes. That's headed for the seats, and Jeff is still alive. Jeff's making his 48th start tonight, his 39th game in left.
Just crossed the 10-year milestone date when the team was in Chicago. That's quite an accomplishment for any player. 10 years of service time.
And
Wilson telling me tonight that he's very proud of that fact, because it would have been easy for him a couple of years ago to give up, call it quits, and go home, but he didn't. Got back to the show and has been productive the last year and a half.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Popped up. Cozart at shortstop will drift to the outfield grass. He'll put it away, and Jeff's retired. 2 up and 2 down. Ender Inciarte's coming up.
As you watch this game from center field, you'll see Finnegan's pitches really have some late action on them. It sinks. It's a hard sinker in the low 90s. And then to go with the slider down and into right-handed hitters, he can work both sides of the plate very effectively.
As you mentioned, Finnegan came from the Royals with John Lamb and Cody Reed. Reds got 3 left-handed minor league pitchers for Johnny Cueto right before the deadline last year. Lamb was just sent back to AAA after his struggles continued, and we will see Cody Reed in this series. But there's a lot to like about this young man. Who's learning how to pitch in a tough pitcher's park. Finnegan's only 22. And a little tapper out towards second. Easy hop for Phillips. And Inciarte's out by a step. 3 quick outs in the top of the second. 0-0 with Jay Bruce coming up for the Reds.
here. Braves nothing, Reds nothing. I've got to give a shout out to one of my favorite people in the game, crew chief Teddy Barrett, an incredible human being. I got to tell you this, guys, he is a doctorate in theology. He was also Evander Holyfield's sparring partner. And his son, Andrew, 26 years old, is now following in his footsteps, trying to be an umpire. He was in the Air Force for 4 years. And his other son, Adam, 21 years old, who is now in the Army. I got to say this, guys, he's the only guy I've seen hold back Big Papi all by himself. And Jeff Francoeur told me before the game that he has so much respect for Teddy Barrett. He's the only umpire that if he makes a bad call, he's never going to argue, and he's just going to walk back to the dugout. Back to you guys.
That's probably smart advice if you're going to argue with Evander Holyfield's sparring partner.
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to win that one, are you?
No. What a great story, Paul. I didn't know that about Ted Barrett.
I knew that he was a boxer, but I didn't know to that level.
Jay Bruce jumps on the first pitch and rips it to the right center field gap. So there's the first Cincinnati hit of the game. And the fans in this part of the country are wondering how many more they'll see of Jay Bruce in a Reds uniform.
Got his hands inside of that one. Put a good swing on it against the shift. Yeah, his name is getting more and more prominent on the talk shows as far as a guy that might be moved during the deadline, before the deadline.
So he's aboard in front of Adam Duvall, who has been one of the great pleasant surprises, not just for the Reds, but for Major League Baseball this year. 23 homers for Duvall and an all-star for Cincinnati.
And a type 1 diabetic. Actually plays with a pump in his pocket. Gotta admire that.
No balls and a strike. And that's inside. Duvall was another Reds acquisition when they traded Mike Leake last July 31st to the Giants. Duvall and pitcher Curie Mella came over from San Francisco. And this man had some gigantic home run numbers in the Giants system.
Yeah, but it's interesting today talking to Jeff Brantley, who does TV and radio work for the Reds, that his numbers had begun to fade. He began to sink in terms of the prospect list in San Francisco because he was undiagnosed. They didn't know what was causing his fatigue, his weakness, and finally went to the doctor and they found out he was diabetic, and things have gotten so much better since then.
And he has a chance to play in the major leagues close to home. He's a Louisville, Kentucky kid. Played baseball at Western Kentucky, Chipola Junior College in Florida, and the University of Louisville. Dangerous pitch. 3 balls and a strike from Matt Whistler, and it's swung on and missed.
Matt might have a lot of family and friends here tonight. He's from Bryan, Ohio. And Bryan, Ohio, looking it up, is straight north of Cincinnati, almost to Michigan. Far northwest corner of Ohio. About 8,500, 9,000 people.
Let's see if Bruce is running on a full count. He is. Good jump. Swing and a miss. Recker's throw is on the money. A strike him out, throw him out, double play. That was pretty.
What a good throw. He didn't rush it. They got the strikeout. And then just a BB down right on the bag by Anthony. Quick shift of his feet right there.
Bruce is the 8th man thrown out trying to steal against the Braves this year in 67 attempts. And Recker 1 for 1 as a Brave. Here's Brandon Phillips. Phillips at 260, 6 homers, 34 knocked in. A strained right calf is only one of the injuries that's plaguing Brandon Phillips. He hurt that Friday in their series with Milwaukee. Didn't play the last 2 days, but back in the lineup, of course, tonight.
And he just shifted his feet real fast there to get weight off that back leg. So we'll see how this goes tonight. Also playing with a hairline fracture in his hand, left hand.
1 ball, 1 strike. How in the world is he able to grip the bat if he's got a fracture on the bottom hand?
I don't know. He got hit by Jose Fernandez, and he's been playing with it even leading up to his calf strain.
And a swing and a miss. Whistler has back-to-back strikeouts, a caught stealing thrown in for good measure, and the duel is on. We go to the third, no score. Turner Field for free. The Braves and Chick-fil-A are now offering 2 free tickets to any remaining home game for all members of the Braves Kids Club. Go to Braves.com/kids today to take advantage of this great deal. Chip and Joe and Paul Bird with you from the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's been a disappointing season on the field for the Reds, but just a couple of weeks ago they had a great moment in their franchise history. They retired Pete Rose's number and inducted him into the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame.
You know, that was a big day here. Plus they have an association, strong association with Ken Griffey Jr., who will go into the Baseball Hall of Fame in just a week or so. Both gentlemen are on the cover of the media guide for the Reds this year.
Anthony Recker leads off inning number 3 for the Braves.
Chip, we talked a lot about Coors Field and pitching effect on the Rockies team and what we, I don't know, speculated they might do to try to help their pitchers or what kind of pitchers. This ballpark's not a whole lot different. It's not as vast as Coors Field, but it's small. It gives up a ton of homers. And as a result, there's always pressure on their pitchers to keep the ball in the ballpark. You know, it's 379 to the gap in left center and just 370 to the right center field gap.
And to put that in perspective, Turner Field's 390.
390 to right center. The wall in left field is higher, and in some ways the pictures and drawings I've seen of SunTrust Park, it's kind of a flip-flop of what we might see at SunTrust Park, with a shorter fence in right field but a higher fence in right field than in left.
And ball 4 to Anthony Recker. He's the second Braves base runner. And Finnegan, who's coming off a 4-walk outing in 5 innings against the Cubs, has issued his first free pass tonight. Well, on one hand, a park like this generates a lot of offense. Everybody says that power is the hardest thing to find in the game. Playing in a place like this is going to accelerate your team's offense.
It's going to definitely make a power hitter out of guys that wouldn't normally be, because routine fly balls jump out of here. Need to get Eric Ibar going again. He had that good hot streak, hit over 300, got his average up over 200, and now he's slipped back again. 2 for his last 26.
And hitting .210 for the year. He had 4 hits against the Reds, so that was during that hot streak for him at the plate. And a chopper foul. Bo Porter with a nice play on 1 hop.
I watched Eric take a lot of batting practice today, and I noticed he was really concentrating from the right side, knowing he was going to face a lefty, of just trying to hit the ball to right field, hit the ball up the middle, stay inside the baseball, let it travel a little bit, and not try to pull and not try to let that front side fly open.
See if he shortens up with 2 strikes. Barnhart blocked that. 1-2 your count.
Tough cookie back there for the Reds tonight too. Barnhart's tough. Balls in the dirt.
He took over when Devin Mesoraco got hurt again. In fact, Mesoraco had hip labrum surgery today. He'll resume catching activities in June. That's the same injury that A-Rod's had and others.
Is that right?
Which makes you wonder, will he be able to catch? Think of all the squatting and the stress on the hip. That's a shame. He's had 3 injuries for the Reds. As this one shot toward right, Bruce is going to gallop in, make the play. No chance to throw back to first as Recker scrambles back. Good play by Jay Bruce. 1 on, 1 out for Matt Wisler.
Didn't result in a hit, but a good sign for Eric. Just taking the ball that way, almost dumped it in front of him.
And to finish the note on Mesoraco, he's made 18 starts in the last 2 years after being given a big contract and big acquisition. Guy that's a big part of their offense here, handles the staff. So surgery for him today. He's lost for the season. And the bunt is foul. Barnhart trying to steal that bunt. Strike 1. That's a foul ball. Oh, 2.
A couple of good fastballs, and Matt didn't get the bat out in front of the plate. He's kind of holding it back toward his body, and as a result, when he made contact, it went straight down in foul territory.
He went around. Wisler thought he pulled the bat back, but on the appeal at first, Lance Barksdale rings up Matt Wisler, and there's the second out.
Video may prove Lance Barksdale right. I actually thought I saw him kind of poke at it a little bit right there, and then one-handed tried to pull the bat back. That was actually a good call by Barksdale.
So 2 are out. Recker still at first. Here's Beckham. He grounded out his first time. Gordon looking for his first hit since coming off the disabled list. He's 0 for his last 12. 2 clubs coming off 1-0 wins yesterday. 1 ball, no strikes. And now 2-0. Short lead at first, and Beckham drives it out of play and into the seats. A lot of Braves fans here in Cincinnati, as there always are. This is a great destination for Braves country. All the fans from northern Kentucky cross the Ohio River and head to downtown Cincinnati when the Bravos come to town. And now the pitch to Beckham is in at the knees. Tough pitch. 2-2. And let me correct something I said about Gordon. He is 0 for his last 12. He's 4 for 21 since coming back from the second DL stint. So I beg your pardon. This one's popped up right side. Finnegan and Votto. It'll be Joey Votto. And that will retire the side. Recker left stranded after walking to start the third. Still scoreless in Cincy. Of the third inning. Let's take a look at our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard as Matt Wisler gets set to go to work again. Quality starts by young pitchers.
He's in good company, isn't he? Aaron Sanchez with 14, Noah Syndergaard with 13. The only two guys with more quality starts, 25 or younger, than Matt Wisler. He's ahead of a couple of really talented young pitchers too, and Fernandez and the guy we saw yesterday, John Gray, who had everybody talking about him.
I was going to say we weren't the only ones that were tipping caps to John Gray, who worked through 7 innings yesterday and looked awfully impressive, and we'll get to look at him again when we head to Denver next. So here's the birthday boy, Eugenio Suarez. Former Tiger with 15 homers and 40 knocked in. And on the play foul for a strike. Suarez 1 for 10 on the homestand and 4 for his last 32. And he mashed that one into the seats foul. And when you're in a slide like this is the count I'm sure you feel like you're in every time up.
Absolutely. Got a good pitch to hit there, but couldn't keep it fair. That avoided his first inning issues tonight. He looked sharp.
And a pop up right side. Freddie Freeman's got plenty of room. And Suarez is retired to start the third. Key for Whistler, as you said, have early inning success. He can control that. What he can't control is a lack of run support.
Yeah.
Teams don't score for him.
No question about that. He got a bunch of runs in Chicago to get the win, but that was something really out of the ordinary.
Braves gave him 11 runs in that start against the Sox. They scored a total of 13 runs in the previous 9 games.
He's throwing hard tonight. He's keeping the ball down, and he's got a good slider. Just got an out on the slider on the pop-up. And as Paul suggested, with the left-handers especially, he's trying to pitch inside to set up the outer half of the plate.
And a liner past Ibar under his glove and into center field. So Tucker Barnhart has the second Cincinnati hit, and Finnegan's coming up with a man aboard and 1 out.
We've seen Ibar come up with some amazing short hop plays in recent days, but that one was hit too hard.
So let's see what Finnegan has in mind. He's laid down a couple of sacrifices. That one's bounced off Recker's gear. Strike 1. As I mentioned, Finnegan one of 27 pitchers employed by the Reds this year. That's tied with the Padres for the most in the big leagues. The Braves and the Texas Rangers are second in that category. They've used 26.
And the Rangers are in first place.
There's the bunt, and it's going to roll foul. Smart play by Freeman. Strike 2. Well, if the Rangers aren't careful, the Houston Astros are going to catch them. Houston's 4.5 back in the AL West.
And trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
They've won 7 out of 10. Texas has lost 7 out of 10.
And the Astros surprised some. They signed that Cuban kid, Yulieski Gurriel, I believe is how you pronounce it. And he's going to start working out in their minor leagues and may be ready to go by the end of August. It'll be a big lift for Houston as they try to get to postseason play this year. The pitch is inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. High hopper toward Adonis. He'll go to second. Beckham the turn, and a beautiful double play. Around the horn, 5-4-3, a beauty.
That was a beauty. Great turn by Beckham to complete it.
Nothing happening in the Cincinnati third. Scoreless game, believe it or not, at the Great American Ballpark. Fountain Square here in downtown. Every year, the annual opening day parade for the Cincinnati Reds marches right on by that beautiful bit of architecture. And just a few blocks away is the Great American Ballpark, the new home of the Cincinnati Reds, right next door to where old Riverfront Stadium used to reside.
For Brendan Finnegan, it has been an ERA month by month that's not going the direction he would like. He had a good April as he went 1-1 in that first month, but 0-3 in May, 2-3 in June with an ERA that keeps going up. In July, well, it's even worse. So he's trying to get that under control, and that extra rest they're hoping will be the ticket for him coming back after 13 days rest today.
Yeah, you made an interesting point with the keys for Matt Wisler, rest versus rust, and maybe we can bring Paul in on this. We talk all the time about the rust and location, but you wonder if the rest gives a pitcher a much more needed mental break than the physical break at this time of year. Paul, was that something you thought about in your younger days as a major league pitcher at the All-Star break?
It is. Sometimes you just need a break. You just need a little rest. Here's what you got to guard against when you're too fresh. You know, I pitched better when, you know, I wasn't aching, but, you know, just a little sore. And if you come back and you feel great, the temptation is to try to overthrow. But yes, this is a game that is grueling, and sometimes it's nice just to get a mental break as well as physical.
Well, it seems to be paying off so far for him tonight. 1 hit through 3 innings.
And the man that has that hit is Adonis Garcia.
And I was looking back at that game he pitched against the Braves back on June 14th, and he beat Atlanta 3-1. The only run the Braves got was on an RBI by Julio Teheran. He gave up 4 hits and 3 walks in 6 innings, but only the 1 run.
That'll give Finnegan and Jacob deGrom something to talk about. Hear about deGrom's game yesterday? Complete game 1 hitter. As this one's banged through the left side, Garcia's 2 for 2. The 1 hit deGrom gave up was to Zach Eflin, the Phillies pitcher.
Yeah, we were talking about that maybe between innings yesterday. deGrom's average against him is like 240, 250 by batters, by position players, but over 300 by pitchers. And lo and behold, Eflin's the only guy with a hit yesterday.
It's the 33rd time in history, or since 1900, I should say, that a major league pitcher's thrown a complete game 1 hitter, and the only hits to the opposing pitcher.
How many times?
33.
Really?
But here's the interesting part. The Mets pitchers all time have done it 5 times.
No kidding.
5 of the 33 in the history of the game.
Well, that's why it took him so long to get a no-hitter.
Right. And if Tom Glavine were here, what would he be saying?
Yeah. Leave it to those athletes.
Right.
I don't know what happened there on that pitch, but Barnhart was in a sprint out to the mound. He didn't like where that last pitch was or what it was.
1 ball, no strikes. Freddie Freeman, the batter, and he's in launch mode. That's out of play and into the seats left side.
Brendan Finnegan giving up a home run every 5.6 innings. All those guys with big numbers. Finnegan's given up 18.
And 4 in 5 innings in his last start. Tried to tie up Freddie and missed inside. 2 balls and a strike.
He can do it. Finnegan can do that. He can tie up some lefties. That was 91, and he doesn't have to throw 93 or 94 because he's got such good tailing action on that pitch to make it continue to move in on their hands.
I think we said when we saw him in Atlanta how much we liked what he has.
Yeah, that was a good deal for the Reds. If they were not going to re-sign Cueto, Royals certainly weren't able to re-sign him. They got 3 good-looking left-handed pitchers.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And Freeman's down on strikes for a second time.
Well, guys, talking about Finnegan The biggest question mark the Reds seem to have is as he transitions as a reliever from the Royals, can he handle the workload? He's not 6'5", he's 5'11", and he throws a power sinker from the left side. So their wonder is now as he reaches over 100 innings for the first time in a couple years, if he's going to be able to handle that. Something to pay attention to tonight and in the second half. Back to you guys.
He's been economical tonight. 52 pitches with 1 out here in the 4th.
By the way, that's 7 straight strikeouts for Freddie Freeman.
Piling up, aren't they? He's up to 104 for the year. Let's see if Markakis can move Garcia along. He's at first with 1 out.
You made a comment a minute ago about well, the trade with Cueto bringing these 3 guys over here, including Finnegan. When people start talking about, you know, what are the Braves going to do? Are they going to do anything? Are they, you know, if somebody comes in and knocks their socks off for Julio Teheran, are they going to make a deal, even though they said they won't trade him?
That's hammered toward right center field. Hamilton is going to have room, though, shy of the track. His throw's coming back to first, and it's very close, but Garcia's back safely.
The difference is that the Braves have Julio Teheran under contract for a couple more years. They've got Freddie Freeman under contract for several more years. There's nobody that's pressing that's going to be a free agent where you say, well, might as well try to get something for him. So there's no urgent need to address that.
Yeah, compare Julio's situation to, say, Justin Upton or Jason Hayward.
Right.
Those men were in their walk years.
Right.
As Jeff Francoeur bats, he popped out to short his first and only time up.
So my point is, the guys who are mentioned most prominently, Teheran and Freeman, they don't have to deal them. They've got both those guys under contract, not having to worry about whether or not they're going to get a draft choice if they become free agents.
Oh, that ball was fouled off the screen, and it almost hit a dove that was perched right on the top of the screen and right where that foul ball was headed for the stands.
That bird was lucky. Over there to the right side of your picture. You got bird.
Two balls, one strike. Swing and a drive. Right center field. Well hit. That ball is off the wall. Here comes Adonis around third. Phillips with his throw to the plate. It's off the back slope of the mound. And Garcia belly flops in with the first run of the game on a ringing double by Jeff Francoeur.
I thought that would get out of here, and it came very close. Braves strike first. Fastball middle of the plate. I think Jeff thought he had it too. And a good play by Hamilton off the wall and a good relay. But the throw, as you said, Chip, slowed down when Phillips' throw hit the side slope of the mound.
So the Braves strike first and have another man in scoring position for Ender Inciarte. Barnhart smothered that ball in the dirt. 26 RBIs now for Jeff Francoeur.
18 against lefties.
Braves are 19 and 17 when they score first. Whistler has an early lead now on the Braves' third hit. One ball, one strike. Braves didn't like that. Thought the ball was down. So did Inciarte. Little flare into left, but Duvall is there, and that retires the side. Jeff Francoeur peppers the right center field wall and scores Adonis Garcia. The Braves strike first and lead by 1 in the 4th. As we said, great showing for Braves fans here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, you just love that G on there.
Got it,
great,
brother.
didn't you?
Yeah. Harvard of the South, you know. And so far, the Braves are schooling the Reds. As we head to the bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0 for Matt Wisler. Top of the order now. Second time through the Reds lineup. And Zach Cozart, who flied out his first time up. Cozart turns 31 in about a month. Got to the big leagues in 2011. Lifetime .245 hitter. And he just launched that one toward left field. Francoeur will turn, and it's gone. Cozart has just tied his career high with his 15th home run.
His name's been bandied about a little bit with the trade deadline looming. With the pop he gives their ball club in the leadoff spot, looked like a hanging breaking ball in the middle of the plate. Wisler knew it. He didn't even bother to look. Not in this ballpark. He'd thrown him a breaking ball the pitch before that was up, and Cozart took it for a strike. It wasn't a very good pitch, and he came right back with one that was even worse.
So here's Hamilton, and that's out of play. Hamilton hit the ball the way you want him to hit the ball if you're his opponent, in the air. Markakis caught it right. And I mentioned earlier the crazy stolen base numbers that Billy Hamilton picked up in the minor leagues. In 2012, between A ball and AA ball. As this one's bounced up the middle, and it'll sneak through for a hit. Hamilton played 132 games in 2012. He stole 155 bases. In 2013, between Louisville and Cincinnati, he played 136 games and stole 88 bases. He's had back-to-back seasons of over 50 here with the Reds.
And the only reason those numbers are down is because he hasn't been getting on base enough. Came in hitting .238 batting average wise, but just think what damage he could incur if he's just hitting .270.
So Whistler's going to have to pay attention to Hamilton. And I think Matt just balked. Yep. Angel Hernandez looked like he was doing a dance move out there at second base when he swiveled his left foot. Maybe that was the infraction for Whistler.
Well, that was one of the keys. Hold Hamilton, and in his efforts to do that. I didn't see that.
Now, in Atlanta, we know the Braves had trouble with wild pitches. That's important in this situation because Billy Hamilton has scored from second base on a wild pitch this year.
Yeah, that was thanks to John Lackey going to sleep and not covering home.
Pickoff play. And Hamilton's back. And then yesterday, Hamilton scored on the ball off the glove of Jonathan Lucroy, a ball that didn't even get to the warning track dirt behind home plate. And he came home for the walk-off winner for the Reds, 1-0 over the Brewers. He's going to steal third. And Recker has no chance.
No chance. He took, as soon as Whistler looked at him and then looked home, he took off. He went on his only look back to second, timed it perfectly. No chance for Recker.
I know it's happening to the Braves, but this to me is one of the most exciting plays in the game. And for so many years, this ball got away from the stolen base. With Billy Hamilton in the lineup, it is back and with a vengeance.
Yeah, you got to make him stop. Any base runner at second base, you got to make them stop their lead.
So the go-ahead run at third for Joey Votto and nobody out.
Yeah, the infield in.
Votto lined back to the mound his first time up as Whistler completed a 1-2-3 first inning. Another shot off Recker's mask.
Just try to keep the ball down. Try to get Votto to hit the ball on the ground. We saw Trevor Story do a good job of scoring against the Braves. Was that Saturday night, going on contact even though the infield was in. You got to assume, even with nobody out, that Hamilton will be going on contact as fast as he is.
Two balls, two strikes for Votto. Swing and a drive. That ball is launched. 3-1 Cincinnati.
Fastball that tailed back to the middle of the plate. Up. That was not a cheap Great American Ballpark homer. That was well up into the seats.
no homers here yesterday in Cincinnati. It was only the 94th game in the history of this ballpark in which neither team had homered. They've played now 1,100 total games in this place.
That's amazing.
But the Reds have taken care of that here in the fourth inning. Cozart led off the frame with a solo shot to left. Votto a two-run bomb to right. And the Reds lead 3-1. Votto's homer, 395 feet. Broken bat and into the shift. Ibar's got it. He's on the first base side of second base. Bruce is retired for the first out of the inning. Here's Duvall. He struck out into a double play with Jay Bruce trying to steal second base in the Reds' second. Swing and a miss. Mentioned Duvall was with the insulin pump. I think Dustin McGowan of the Marlins is another player that is a diabetic and wears that incredibly helpful medical device as well when he plays.
Matt Whistler's numbers through the lineup first time through, typical tonight. He only gave up one hit. Second time through is when he runs into some issues and has so far here in the fourth. Check that, he'd given up 2 hits through the first time through the order. Get back on track. Hold him right there. As we have seen in this ballpark, your team can put some runs on the board in a hurry, get you right back on top.
And that's an excellent way to do it. Third strikeout. 2 quick outs after the Votto homer. And here's Brandon Phillips. Phillips is another name that's been mentioned not just this year but last year too in the annual trade talks toward the end of July. One difference for Brandon Phillips, he's a 10-5 man. That means 10 years in the big leagues, 5 with one club. He has the right to veto any trade that is presented, which is what he did last year. And some think that that would continue to be the case. And they have Jose Peraza here, the former Braves farmhand who they acquired from the Dodgers. Peraza is a likely replacement for Brandon Phillips at some point at second base. As that one is a check swing strike.
That had to hurt.
And with, as you just pointed out, the fractured hand, I'm sure that affects Brandon Phillips' potential trade value even if he were to accept a deal somewhere else.
Well, that strained calf too that he's still nursing, that's not helping anything either. That pitch to Votto, I would guess he was trying to throw a 2-seamer to the inside part of the plate to make Votto give up on it and have it run back over the inside corner. Instead it was at the inner third and ran back to the middle of the plate. When he throws a 4-seamer and wants to just try to blister one on the corner, he can get it up there around 94.
Served out a play by Phillips. Who is 14 home runs away from joining a very exclusive fraternity with the Reds. There are 7 players in their team's history who have 1,000 hits and 200 or more homers. Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Frank Robinson, Ted Kluszewski, George Foster, Jay Bruce, and Joey Votto, his current teammates. Phillips has
Reds
one.
royalty.
Yeah. See, Brandon Phillips become a great second baseman here. That one's off the end of the bat. Pitches piling up for Matt here in the Reds' 4th inning. They've scored 3 times on 2 homers. And a line drive into right field. Phillips really earned that hit. Terrific at bat. And that's the 4th Reds hit of the inning. This one comes with 2 outs.
But I don't think you have to worry about him going anywhere. You're right. This was a good swing and a good at bat. Pitch that was up above the belt that he was able to just take the other way. But still laboring, getting down the line with that right calf.
And you saw at the point of contact, almost it looked like a grimace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his hand is hurt. Everything's hurting probably for Phillips now. So he keeps the inning alive for Suarez, who popped out to Freddie Freeman. That started the Reds' 3rd inning. Matt's about to make his 27th pitch of the inning. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was one of his better sliders.
Cozart homered. Billy Hamilton's single was balked to second, stole third, and then Joey Votto hit a 2-run homer to give the Reds the lead. And now before the first. Inside, that almost nailed the Reds' 3rd baseman. It's 2-2.
Well, it may have served as a perfect setup for another slider down and away. That's what they got him to chase 2 pitches ago. They're going fastball out there instead.
And now with this pitch, we'll see just how well Brandon Phillips is feeling. Sore calf and all, full count, 2 outs, 3 in. With Tucker Barnhart, the 8th place hitter, waiting on deck. And Phillips is going. Swing and a drive. That's hammered down the left field line. And it is a very happy birthday for Eugenio Suarez. A 2-run homer.
Another hanging breaking ball. Ted Barrett got himself in position to help out down the line for Will Little, who was watching the ball hook around the pole. Home run number 16 for Suarez. 3 homers in the inning, 18 on the year.
Yeah, they're piling up for Matt, aren't they? Last 8 starts, he's given up 12 homers. That dates back to June 5th. 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Cubs, and 3 here in the 4th inning against Cincinnati. Matt has allowed 4 homers in a game once. That was last August 23rd in Wrigley Field. So the Reds have erupted for 5 in the 4th. Popped up. Ibar out, Francoeur in. Second time through the lineup was most unkind for Matt Wisler. 8 of his 18 homers allowed have come in the 4th inning. The Reds hit 3. They lead 5-1. We go to the 5th.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Well, the Reds are rolling by the river. Unfortunately, they hit 3 homers in the 4th inning off Matt Wisler. They take a 5-1 lead here at the Great American Ballpark. Much different place than Riverfront Stadium as far as the architecture is concerned, but the the way the ball flies is awfully similar.
The jump ability.
Yeah. Yes. So Brandon Finnegan has been staked to a 4-run lead, and he's got the bottom part of the Braves order coming up here in the 5th. And strike 1. One of the cool features of this ballpark is how the Reds honor the river tradition. Right above the batter's eye in center field is the pilot house. Looks like an old riverboat. When they hit a home run, those smokestacks shoot off the fireworks. If memory serves, last year when we were here, one of those smokestacks malfunctioned. It was on fire.
A little issue.
Yeah. And there's a reason why there are 7 bats atop each smokestack, which we'll get to in a moment. 7 plus 7 equals 14. Pete Rose's number.
I would have had 3 and 2 for Johnny Bench, but okay.
Fly ball to right. Bruce is going to watch that one sail high off the wall. And Recker has to slam on the brakes as he's held to a long single off the top of the wall at the 370 mark.
You know what? I think Anthony thought that ball went out. And he had to look down to step on first base. And the way Bruce played that, he just kind of turned and watched it. I think Anthony was fortunate that Bruce turned and fired the ball back into the infield right away, and Anthony stopped. Because Anthony rounded first almost in a trot-like run. Look down right there. See, he was kind of in a breakdown trot, and whoa.
So let's see if the Braves can answer the Reds' fourth with a few runs of their own here in the fifth. Ibar's up. He lined out to right his first time up.
Barnhart out again to talk to his young pitcher and maybe some encouragement about getting ahead in the count. You just were given a 4-run lead. New pitching coach for the Reds is Mac Jenkins, their second pitching coach of the year.
That's downstairs. Yeah, Mark Riggins was relieved of his duties. He's going to stay in the organization. But Jenkins takes over as the pitching coach. Ted Power, former pitcher here, is the bullpen coach. Is that his official title for the Reds?
Bullpen coach.
Yep. Ground ball, foul at third past Suarez. 2 balls and a strike.
And he was brought up because he's worked so much with these guys at AAA. They're used to him. They know him, and he can be a good asset out in the bullpen. Much like Marty Reed for the Braves.
Strike one has not been thrown often by Finnegan in the game. He's 6 for 17, getting ahead of Braves hitters. And now he's fallen way behind Ibar, 3-1 with Whistler on deck. Little flare into right. Bruce is coming on. He makes a sliding catch, and Recker heads back to first. He's not just a good hitter, he's a good defender too, and he showed off a strong arm and some closing speed to rob Ibar of a hit.
Well, he's done that twice on Eric, who's hit the ball the other way. One of the things that a hitter will be plagued by here is that it's because it's a short porch in right field. Bruce can play shallow and take away a lot of hits that might normally drop in.
Whistler pushes a bunt foul at first. And Barnhart was shouting to Votto, let it roll foul, because Recker was about 10 feet away from second base. Oh, 2.
See how far Matt is from home plate. Anything thrown to the outer half of the plate, his bat only had the inner half covered. He's got to reach for and poke at, and it makes it that much more difficult. here's what I mean. Watch the end of his bat. The end of his bat is only over the inner third of the plate. So when the pitch is outside corner, tough to cover it.
And as you've said so many times, it seems almost impossible for him to be able to catch the ball with a bat with that late lunge.
Yes. So you got to get the bat out front. That's why I don't like bunting with your feet, both feet still pointing at the first base dugout. I still like it when they bring that back foot up, even with the plate, like Greg Maddux used to do it. Very successful at it.
Foul away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Finnegan's gotten good results, but he's had to throw a lot of pitches tonight. He's scattered 4 hits.
That's kind of his MO, Chip. In that start against Washington 2 starts ago, where he went 2 1/3 innings, 2 1/3, threw 79 pitches in 2 1/3. It takes him a lot of pitches just to get through 5 innings typically.
Well, he's about to throw his 80th. And he's got to get through the 5th with the lead to qualify for the win. And he's run the count full to Matt Wisler.
You know, he had to look toward the heavens on that one. He wanted that call.
Got that call, though. Whistler's caught looking. 4 strikeouts, 2 outs, and Gordon Beckham.
That wasn't as good a pitch as the one before.
Gordon's grounded out and popped out tonight. And a strike. We've mentioned a couple of times Gordon's had 2 separate stints on the disabled list with hamstring problems. It's cost him 50 games. And the real shame of it was each time he got hurt, he was swinging the bat exceptionally well. He's 0 for his last 13.
Yeah, when you look back over those at bats, Chip, they are all either pop-ups or strikeouts. He's a little late, a little rusty getting back. I know he had some hits and a home run in Chicago, in fact. But he's just a little off on his timing.
Recker led off the 5th with a hit. And now Beckham has a 2-2 count.
But you're right. That was the tragedy of it all, of him getting hurt the second time, was how well he was swinging it, getting on base a lot, hitting in the clutch.
Recker's running, and the pitch just missed the inside corner. And Recker steals second base standing up. His first steal. And I think Finnegan thought he had the inside corner. Didn't get the call, though. And now Beckham has a 3-2 pitch coming.
That may have been why Barnhart held onto the baseball. He was trying to frame it there, didn't bother to throw.
Swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts for Brandon Finnegan. He's got a 5-1 lead, and he'll lead off the home half of the inning.
5-1 in the bottom of the 5th to the Reds. Well, Joe, you mentioned Greg Maddux, one of my teammates here in Atlanta, and he told me that the very first thing he learned in the big leagues his first year was to only throw the ball high when you want to. Sounds easy, but it exposed the big lie that I was always taught, which is hit the outside corner. That's sort of true. An outside corner pitch that's elevated is no good. I learned in the big leagues that pitch has to be down at the knees. Mix in Whistler's last start at U.S. Cellular and now here at Great American Park. He is in the growing pains and learning how important it is to keep the ball down when you pitch in parks like these. Back to you guys.
It's great points, Paul. And it really, I mean, it's certainly important here, Coors Field, and some other Wrigley Field. But it applies just about anywhere you pitch, right? Wouldn't you say? Lost him.
Did he faint?
We'll get him back.
It's really hot down there tonight. Finnegan pops one to left. And Ibar is going to give way to Francoeur, who puts it away for the first out. We talk all the time about adjustments. The numbers you show with Whistler, first time, second time through the batting order, third time through the batting order, second time through a .293 average. 18 home runs allowed by Matt this year. 8 of those 18 have come in the 4th inning, generally speaking, the second time through the order.
That's crazy, isn't it? I don't know what you make of that.
Is that mental? Is that just bad luck? Is that...
Well, in some respects, if he's pitching so well the first time through the order, then it's probably factoring in that he's meeting the meat of the order again in the 4th. Guys that are going to hit some homers. And if he's making mistakes, as he did in this 4th inning, going to get hurt. But Cozart hit a hanging breaking ball, and so did Suarez. Votto hit a fastball that he wanted in and had it tail back over the inside corner, but it tailed to the barrel.
Downstairs to Cozart, who has hit his 15th home run. That tied the game for the Reds. He's also flied out to right. 1 out, bases empty. And Garcia plays back. And a long throw gets the Red shortstop by a step. Nice play, 2 outs. The meat of the order for the Braves is coming up in the 6th inning. So if Matt can hold him here, see what happens.
There's a long way to go. There's a lot of at bats still to be used in this ballpark against the pitching staff that, as we have chronicled, is last in so many different categories, including their bullpen and their ERA and how atrocious it is. So it's a 4-run deficit. That's nothing in this park against this staff, the Reds.
What does concern you, though, is if Finnegan comes out of the game, their bullpen, which has, generally speaking, been awful, is pitching a lot better lately. Got a nice rotation working down there now. Reds relievers working on 9 straight scoreless innings and a 1.32 ERA over their last 8 games. So you better start making some hay against Finnegan the way that group collectively is pitching right now. And they have lost, believe it or not, 30 games this year. Have the Reds when they've had a lead.
Oh, wow.
And out of the bullpen, you asked, their relief corps lost 21. And have given up an astounding 66 homers in 337 innings. So you've got hope. But more trouble as Hamilton smokes a single into center field. He's got 2 hits. And the Braves are getting their first look at Billy Hamilton this year, and they're not liking what they've seen. He's 2 for 3 with a run scored already.
Brian Price is liking what he sees from Billy Hamilton, and that's line drives or hard ground balls up the middle like his first hit.
Joey Votto hitting .368 in July. He hit .319 in June after a very slow start at the plate for the Reds this year. And for a hitter as good as Joey Votto is, what a luxury it must be for him to have someone like Hamilton at first to distract the pitcher.
Absolutely. Good fastball hitter. Chances are he's going to see a lot of fastballs.
Votto's homer, his 207th as a Red. He's now 3 behind Ken Griffey Jr., who hit 210 while wearing a Cincinnati uniform.
Does that surprise you?
That it was that?
It did me, that when I saw that number, that Griffey hit that many homers for the Reds.
And a little bit, only because it probably should have been more.
Yeah.
Remember how
He's hurt a lot.
Ken got hurt all the time here? And as you mentioned, Junior going into the Hall of Fame with Mike Piazza this year.
That was a good throw over because Hamilton was still moving his feet, edging off, and Matt made him stop and go back.
Dangerous pitch. 2-0 to Votto. Jay Bruce is lurking next.
Well, again, the distraction of a fast runner trying to make a good pitch. Looked like all fastballs so far. Just been off the plate, including, of course, the pitch out.
Hamilton's running. The pitch is strike and no throw for Recker. That's another steal for Billy Hamilton. His second of the game and 26th on the season.
On a 3-0 count. Don't see that very often. Well, he is explosive out of the box, out of the blocks too, when he takes off.
I wonder what his time down the line is. As Votto takes ball 4. That is the first and only walk for Whistler in the game, but now you've got real trouble with Jay Bruce up there. Leads all National League right fielders in RBIs and is on pace for a 31 homer year.
Joel De La Cruz will begin to loosen up. There was a player, I want to say he was around the turn of the 20th century, that was a real stolen base fiend by the same name as the Red center fielder, and he was called Slidin' Billy Hamilton. Sometimes this Billy Hamilton doesn't have to slide. Just walks in.
2 on for Bruce and 2 out. Who was the fastest guy you played with, played against?
Fastest base runner was Willie Wilson.
Really?
Yeah, he could go first to third and home to third about as fast as anybody I ever saw. Strong runner too.
One ball, no strikes. Bruce hits one off the end of the bat, and Markakis is going to catch that. Bruce just missed a long home run of his own. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. We are through 5 in Cincinnati. The Braves go back to work, trailing 5-1.
For Jose Fernandez, that's impressive, and he's behind.
Yes, and for the Phillies and Aaron Nola, that is a huge game. Remember, they gave him a mental break at the All-Star break, and from all indications, he's pitching like the staff ace they think he's going to be. There's a pop-up off the bat of Adonis Garcia over by the Reds dugout, and that will bounce out of play.
Adonis has 2 of the Braves' 4 hits tonight. Had a couple of hits yesterday against Colorado, closing in on 260.
And 17 multi-hit games for the year now. He's the only Brave to score.
He hasn't thrown that curveball too often, but it's been effective as like a changeup.
Same rule that applied in the 5th applies for Finnegan here in the 6th. He's got a 4-run lead. Don't start walking people. And a fly ball well hit right. Bruce is back. That ball is going to sail out of here. Adonis Garcia with an opposite field homer and a 3-for-3 night.
That was a great American Ballpark home run. The Braves could use about 3 or 4 more of those with a few people on base. And another good piece of hitting by Adonis. Might have been a slider right in the middle of the plate, right out over the 370 mark.
His first homer since June 23rd, and that trims the lead to 5-2 now. And Freddie Freeman's coming up. You're right about the Great American Ballpark style of that homer. 376 feet for Garcia. And now Freddie unloads with a shot to right. This one had too much topspin. That's going to bounce off the warning track and land in the seats. A ringing double for Freddie Freeman, who took out a lot of strikeout frustration with that swing of the bat.
Yeah, he did. That was like enough's enough. He had struck out 7 straight at bats. Hanging breaking ball. Finnegan's lucky that one stayed in the park. All right, all that topspin right over the top of Bruce's head.
That's Freeman's 11th hit against the Reds. Remember, he hit for the cycle against these guys back in Atlanta. So Markakis bats. Can't tell if the Reds have action in their bullpen or not. Got a tarp that blocks our view. But they might need to get somebody up, as Finnegan now at 95 pitches, leaving a few up. And a shot into center field. Hamilton will play that on a bounce. The Braves have him first and third. Markakis with the 3rd hit of the inning in a row for the Braves. And here we go.
Back-to-back hits by lefties too, and that's going to end the night for Finnegan. I'll tell you that base hit, I know it didn't get the run in because Freddie had to wait for the ball to drop, but just by advancing him to third base with nobody out gives the Braves a chance to easily cut this deficit down to 2 runs.
So Finnegan goes 5+, 7 hits. He walked 1, gave up a homer, and the Braves find themselves in the Reds' pen with a tying run coming up.
Atlanta Braves baseball is sponsored by your local Toyota dealers, Let's Go Places, the Georgia Lottery, and Zaxby's Indescribably Good.
Joe said it best a little while ago. No lead is safe here at the Great American Ballpark. The Braves have gotten a Garcia homer, a Freeman double, a Markakis single, and now Jeff Francoeur represents the tying run as the Braves have entered the Reds bullpen.
Blake Wood is on the pitch, throws hard, 95 to 98 with his fastball. Hard slider around 90 miles an hour, an occasional split finger pitch. There are his numbers for the year. Good numbers for him. 40 strikeouts in 43 1/3 innings, a 3.12 ERA. 27 walks in there too.
Nobody out, 2 aboard for the Braves. A run is in here in the 6th. And the first pitch to Jeff Francoeur is taken low. Blake's a Georgia boy, born in Atlanta, lives in Suwanee. Went to North Gwinnett High School and 3 years at Georgia Tech.
North Gwinnett, is that where Charlie Blackmon went to high school?
It is. And out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Just get that guy in from third and then see if you can keep the inning going. If you can cut it down to a 2-run deficit, no matter what happens the rest of the inning, you still got 3 innings left to catch up. That's a big run at third.
One ball, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. Nasty pitch takes care of Francoeur. Down and across the shoot tops. Jeff couldn't resist. And he's the first out of the inning. Ender Inciarte was 0 for 2 against Finnegan, who went 5+ innings of 7 hit, 5 strikeout ball. The runners aboard are his responsibility. Let's see if Ender can extend his hitting streak to 7 consecutive games. A shot caught by Suarez at third. What a play. If he's playing a step to his left, that's in the left field corner, and the Braves are in business, but no such luck.
It's into the corner and probably scores 2. Good reactions by Freddie to not get doubled off.
So Wood gets the first 2 he's assigned. Now he's got a tango with Anthony Recker, who's walked and singled. His single was high off the fence in right. He stole second and was stranded. That was an inning ago. Blake Wood is a big man, 6'5", 240 pounds. He's always had a good arm, but has been plagued by injury throughout his professional career. He was drafted in 2006, got to the big leagues in 2010, had the Tommy John surgery in 2012. Coming into this season, had pitched in 9 big league games until this year, while trying to get back to top form. And as we've said so often about the Braves, 25-man roster for the Reds bullpen, opportunity is knocking.
Yeah. He's had a couple of days rest too since his last outing, so it's obvious he's pretty fresh.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. Boy, Wood was fired up. What a job he did. He struck out Francoeur and Recker. Inciarte lined out to third, and the Braves settle for Adonis Garcia's solo home run leading off the 6th. Atlanta edges a run closer, but it's still 5-2 now. Reds leading. through the doors at Turner Field Saturday, July 30th. Get a 1991 worst to first NLCS replica ring. Don't miss out on this collector's item. Go to Braves.com/promotions and get your tickets today. There's your line score through 5.5. Brandon Finnegan leaves with a 5-2 lead. Matt Wisler's back out there to face Duvall, Phillips, and Eugenio Suarez. Duvall has struck out twice tonight and has 5 hits in his last 25 at bats. There's a pretty pitch over the corner. Even count.
Be nice to have a quick inning, something to finish on a good note on. Matt's due up second in the top of the 7th. Likely will be pinch hit for, but have a good 1-2-3 inning and something to build on.
Matt's next start will come in Denver against the Rockies at Coors Field. That's where we'll head next, beginning Thursday night. Bounding ball foul. Even count now, 2-2. The fateful 4th has decided things to this point for Wisler. 34 pitches, as you see, and 3 Reds homers. Erased a 1-0 Braves lead. And that pitch has given him trouble most of the night, hasn't it?
Well, I think in some cases, and Paul could speak to this certainly, is if you've made a couple of mistakes with your breaking ball and they've been hit out of the ballpark, the last thing you want to do is have that repeat itself. So you have a tendency to overthrow it and you don't get the snap on it that you would like.
No swing. And Duvall walks. That's the second walk for Wisler in as many innings. And Brian Snitker is on his way to the mound at 91 pitches. That appears to be the end of the line for Matt Wisler tonight. 5-2. Cincinnati leads it at home in game 1 of our 3-game set. On 29th through the 31st, when the Braves take on the Phillies. There'll be tons of opportunities to see your favorite Braves legends. Go to Braves.com/alumni weekend for a full schedule of the weekend's events.
Carolyn Sarah, her husband Glenn, their 2 daughters at the ball game tonight, right there behind the Braves dugout. Carolyn runs Braves Hall of Fame, does a great job with that, and with the ceremonies coming up for John Schuerholz and Andruw Jones, it'll be quite an event. Make sure you get your tickets.
Have you picked out your tie yet? for your MC
No,
duties?
but I've got it narrowed down.
Here's Joel De La Cruz. He'll come on to pitch. He's in his 5th big league game for Atlanta.
0-2, 4.91 ERA. A couple of starts for him, couple of relief appearances. This outing might be short since, again, the pitcher spot due up 2nd in the 7th. Be nice to get a double play ball here and another quick out.
And a strike to Brandon Phillips. We made note of this note on Phillips when the Reds were in Atlanta, and I didn't realize it until I read it at the time. Brandon Phillips, you may not know, is the all-time leader in fielding percentage by a National League second baseman in history. He's won 4 Gold Gloves, 1 shy of Joe Morgan's Reds record for a second baseman. He was a finalist in 3 other years. 2012, 2014, and 2015. This year it's been a bit of a down year for him. He's made 10 errors.
Yeah, that is a lot for him. But his fielding percentage numbers you were mentioning, that doesn't surprise me.
And then you switch over to the offense. Safe to say that Joe Morgan's considered the best second baseman in the history of the Reds franchise.
Yeah.
Brandon Phillips has more hits than Joe Morgan as a Red. There's a slow roller to short. And the throw hits Duvall, who slides into the bag. And all hands are safe. Where did that get Duvall? It sounded nasty.
I don't know if it was a horrible throw. I mean, with Phillips running, we've already talked about what a bad leg he's got. They had an excellent shot at a double play. Eric's throw, oh man, right in the chin. I don't know if it got him all in the chin or in the chest, but oh baby.
Now, is Brian Snitker contemplating a challenge at second base? You saw Duvall come off the bag, but apparently nothing more will come of that.
He might have come off the bag because he was half knocked out from getting hit with a throw, but just a horrible feed from Eric that prevented any chance at all of turning the double play.
So 2 are on, nobody are out. And Eugenio Suarez is having himself quite a birthday, wouldn't you say?
Yes, sir.
2-run homer and a great play to rob Inciarte of what might have been a 2-run scoring hit in the top of the inning.
Good change-up.
Suarez is still a kid, a non-drafted free agent in 2008 by the Tigers. The Reds got him for Alfredo Simon after the 2014 season. News down on the farm. Mississippi's winning tonight. They're leading Jackson 5-0. Dansby Swanson has hit a 2-run homer, and he just picked up another RBI single. Another good off-speed pitch. Suarez didn't get it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, another changeup that was set up by a real good fastball in on the hands of Suarez.
This is a name that you'd love to hear Vin Scully say. Eugenio Suarez. Puerto Ordaz, Venezuela. Swing and a miss.
Good sequence there by De La Cruz.
So important to get that first batter. Joel just took care of the Reds' third baseman for the first out of the inning.
Well, he might have had a chance at a double play were it not for the errant throw. And that would have wrapped things up. But a good sequence of pitches there from Joel. Fastballs and changeups.
Yeah, and you're right. Thanks for the pickup. This is the second batter, but to get that out does set up a double play chance with Tucker Barnhart coming up. And he's been the everyday guy when Devin Mesoraco got hurt. He's a real good catcher. Barnhart's average has climbed from 238 to 266. With hits now in 12 of his last 16 games. De La Cruz ahead of him 0-2. He's bringing it tonight.
Yes, sir. He is fresh, feeling good too. Every time he's come in or started a game, he gives you the appearance that he is enjoying being out there. Aggressive, very focused. Oh my, what a good stop. Rutgers had a good night too. Nothing he could do but take that off the chest protector and smothered it. He's throwing out a base stealer. He's had a long single that almost went out of here.
Little looper into left field is going to drop for a hit. Duvall around third. He's going to score. And the Reds extend their lead to 6-2. That run belongs to Matt Whistler.
You know, it almost seemed like Barnhart was thinking going to left field from the get-go. Foul one off down the left field line. Braves were playing him up the middle. So you see big hole over there on the left side with Ibar playing up the middle. And well, he took advantage of it.
So Blake Wood works a perfect inning of relief with a couple of strikeouts. Now Kyle Waldrop will bat for him. Third stint with the Reds for the now Cincinnati outfielder. Just called up yesterday. And he was a hot hitter for the Louisville Bats. He had 16 hits in his last 40 at bats. He started twice against the Braves down in Atlanta. Left field on the 14th of June, right field on the 16th. And he didn't get that. 0-2.
For 3 as a pinch hitter.
'12th round pick in 2010. Had one big league game last year. And Waldrop struck out.
Looks a little bit like Jay Bruce standing up there.
I was just going to say, if Jay Bruce gets moved, I wonder if this is the guy that might get a chance to play right field.
He's a big guy.
Sal Iglesias will be the next Reds pitcher. A swing and a miss. Waldrop is carved up by De La Cruz. That's the second strikeout for Joel. And here's Zach Cozart. Ian Kroll is warming up for the Braves just in case the lineup gets down to Votto or Bruce here. Braves are hoping that won't be the case. They want this inning to end right here. The Reds have added a run. A leadoff walk issued by Matt Wisler comes home on a Tucker Barnhart hit to left. That pitch is biting.
Good stuff. Good stuff tonight. Fastball, changeup, slider. Should have been out of the inning. Should not have had that run score on the base hit because should have been out on the force play at second.
Ibar's 10th error extends the inning. Reds 6, Braves 2 in the 6th. And now the 1-2 pitch for Zach Cozart is bounced to the left side. Ibar's got this one. His throw to first is in plenty of time, and that will retire the side. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error, 2 left, 7th inning. Iglesias on to pitch for the Reds. We go to the 7th. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. That includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
This is Raisel Iglesias, the third pitcher for the Reds tonight. 1-on-1, good ERA. It's his 13th game. He's also made 5 starts for the Reds. A lot of strikeouts per innings pitched, 244 average against. Fastball, slider, changeup, throws hard, mid-90s.
He's a converted shortstop from Cuba who was signed to a 7-year contract in 2014. You might recall last May Iglesias pitched against the Braves, went 8 innings and gave up 1 run to earn his first big league victory.
That was right here, wasn't it?
Yep. And became the first Red since Mike Leake to go straight to the big leagues.
Seems to me just a faint recollection that maybe his dad was here for that outing.
I think you're right. Can't be sure about that.
Big thrill there.
But he signed that contract in June of 2014 and pitched in 18 games with the big league club. Went 3-7. He did pitch in the minor leagues, but started
after the fact
with the big club.
Well, Erick Aybar's had a rough time of it. Counting tonight as the 9th game. His last 9 games, he's 2 for 28. 8 strikeouts, no walks. He's hit into 4 double plays, and tonight made a 4th error in his last 9 games. And what did you say Dansby Swanson did?
He hit a 2-run homer and has an RBI single tonight. For Mississippi, he and Ozzie Albies are putting together almost identical offensive numbers playing together with the Mississippi Braves. Raisel Iglesias playing for the Reds, who have a great tradition of players from Cuba in the history of this franchise. Roller toward first. Votto has it. Iglesias to the bag. Nice play, 1 out. Brian Pena, Yonder Alonso, Aroldis Chapman, Jose Cardenal, Chico Ruiz, of course, Tony Perez and Cookie Rojas. There are others.
Pedro Borbon, I believe. I may not be. Pedro may have been from the Dominican.
Mike Cuellar from Cuba, and Borbon is not listed on here.
Okay,
so
he must have been from the Dominican.
So Iglesias gets his first man, and Jace Peterson's going to pinch hit. And that's popped down the left field line and headed for the seats. Where a fan from Mount Adams makes the catch. Can't be happier for Jace Peterson, the way he's swinging the bat and playing since his return from AAA Gwinnett. He's going to roll out to Brandon Phillips, however. And he's out by a step. 2 up, 2 down in the 7th.
Yeah, he's been exceptional. His defense has been really good. Doing a great job when he's been in the leadoff spot of getting on base. Real solid.
So De La Cruz, an inning with 1 hit, 2 strikeouts for the Braves tonight. And we go back to the top. And Gordon Beckham. Eric O'Flaherty, we hear, is loosening in the Braves pen. Looks like Eric will be the next out of the chute for Brian Snitker tonight. Crossfire.
Yeah. Not fair when you're firing at 97.
Well, if you say that with an accent, not fire.
Yeah. A lot of my people in Oklahoma, that's how they'd say it.
Breaking ball, and Phillips took away the hop, and Iglesias got 3 ground ball outs. 7th inning stretch in Cincinnati. The Reds have played a long ball at home. They lead at 6-2 in game 1. Our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. And as Joe asked rhetorically a few moments ago, how's Dansby Swanson doing? Well, tonight he's knocked in at least 3 runs, and in his last 5 he has a .333 average. Ozzie Albies over his last 10 games since coming back from AAA to team with Swanson at Mississippi is also hitting a robust .330.
Colby Allard in Danville was the first-round pick by the Braves last year, the 14th overall pick in the draft. Tossed 6 scoreless innings in 3 of his last 4 starts, including shutting out the Bristol Pirates 5-0 last night. So good work by him. Brett Cumberland, the kid out of the catcher out of the University of California, had a couple of doubles in 5 at-bats last night. So some good news down on the farm.
And good news to see Eric O'Flaherty back. You see, he's pitched in 27 games. He's also missed the last 27 games with a right knee strain. Eric compiled a 1.50 ERA in 6 rehab games. And the Braves got him, as you remember, very late in spring training from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He'll face Billy Hamilton, who hits the ball on the ground. Eric can't get it, and no chance to get Hamilton. He's going to leg out an infield hit. O'Flaherty was,
if it was
all by himself.
It was Eric or nobody. Batting average for Hamilton about the same, left or right-handed, in the mid-230s.
Hamilton had 3 hits in the series with the Brewers. He has 3 hits in tonight's series opener against the Braves, and he's already stolen a couple of bags. So this will be a interesting challenge. A left-hander on the mound for Atlanta. Let's see what.
And even when he does come to the plate, Eric's pretty quick.
Votto's homered, walked, and lined out. And that hurt. Maybe baseball players should start wearing the shin guards that soccer players wear.
Well, those that, oh boy, that's right above the ankle. They've certainly got those smaller shin guards with the Velcro that seem to work pretty well. It's just that every time a guy puts one on, he gets hit somewhere else.
Right. Votto digs back in. Reds have 6 runs, 10 hits tonight. They've left 4 on base.
That 10 hits is significant. They'd gone 14 straight games without reaching double digits in hits.
Hamilton has 3. Cozart and Votto have a hit apiece. Suarez a hit. Tucker Barnhart, the catcher, with 2 hits and an RBI. So they've spread it all up and down their lineup tonight. And Hamilton's running. The pitch inside. Recker's throw is not in time. And Hamilton's trying to keep the bag, and Ibar's keeping the tag on. And time is granted as Hamilton steals his 3rd base of the night.
Went on his first move. As soon as he picked his foot up, Hamilton was off to the races. Good throw. Great throw. Just couldn't. All he did was basically outrun the baseball and got a good jump off Eric.
Recker made that closer than it probably should have been.
Yeah.
So another RBI chance for Votto, who has 7 hits after the All-Star break.
Make him stop.
And a ground ball through, base hit. Markakis charges. Here comes Hamilton around third. The throw to the plate is late. Hamilton slides in head first, and the Reds lead 7-2. You're seeing what speed does, and what speed does not just for Hamilton, but for the rest of this Reds offense.
Makes a difference for this ball club at the top of the order when you've got hitters like Votto, Bruce, and Duvall coming up after them. 3rd RBI of the night for Joey.
I think it's safe to say, Joe, that the Reds aren't going to make the playoffs this year. I mean, barring a miracle.
No.
But I think it's also safe to say that if they decide not to move Jay Bruce, and if they don't move Cozart, and they keep this offense together for the rest of this season, I'm guessing there's nobody in the National League Central that's going to want to face this offense down the stretch. I mean, the Reds
late in the season.
Reds are going to have a big say as to who goes to the playoffs.
Well, the disappointing part of the season, disappointing segment of their team has been the pitching. They thought they were going to have a much better pitching staff this year. You already mentioned 20-some pitchers.
27.
And 9 different starting pitchers. 12, my goodness. So injuries have played a huge factor. And some of the guys that they were counting on, some of the young prospects that maybe they call up now that they were hoping would show better, haven't exactly taken that step forward yet. That guy we'll see tomorrow, Cody Reed. They want to see a little more from him. He was involved in that deal from Kansas City.
Off Eric's glove, but out to Beckham. He's going to throw to first. Now Votto's in a pickle, but the throw sails into left field.
Thank goodness.
Bruce is out 4-3. Excuse me, 1-4-3.
Smart play here by Gordon. Easy out at second. And Freddie airmailed it. That's a couple of times he's done that this year on that throw.
Well, one name the Reds are looking forward to getting back here in the second half is Homer Bailey. Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
He had right elbow surgery last May. He had a rehab start on Friday. 4 innings of 1 earned run, 3 hit ball. So let's say they get a Bailey back. DeSclafani is unbeaten since he's come back.
Right.
We've seen him. Finnegan. And that's 3 very representative starters for the Reds. But it's got to be a real tough quandary for the Reds front office to think about. The hardest thing to find in baseball is power. We talked about that earlier. And they've got it all over this lineup and in this ballpark. And how much will Walt Jocketty and his staff consider giving up in order to acquire starting pitching or relief pitching? They need both. Fly ball off the bat of Duvall, headed for the right field corner. Markakis is there, and in foul ground he makes the catch.
Boy.
And Votto will move to third as Markakis moves from our field of vision in the corner. But the first base umpire, Lance Barksdale, signaled out. Markakis with the grab for out number 2.
Right up against the padded wall there. Nice play by Nick. Well, the Reds have an option on Jay Bruce for next year if they want to exercise it. They don't have to deal him thinking that he's going to become a free agent. He would if they don't exercise the option. But I'm kind of with you. They've got power, something not a lot of teams have. They have a team that's really put together well for this ballpark. Ivan de Jesus Jr. pinch hitting.
In a way, it's kind of like the Nationals last year when they had their lineup together for 10-11 games over the entire season. The Reds have had the same problem too. They don't have their don't have their number one catcher. They don't have their number one starter. They traded away Aroldis Chapman, who was arguably the best closer in the game. But if nothing else, when they play like this, they can win their share of 7-6 games.
Yep.
De Jesus, fly ball right. Markakis can't get there. Votto's going to score. It's 8-2. So not making that throw to get Votto looms large. That keeps the inning alive. It scores a second Cincinnati run in the 7th.
Yeah, not only that, but there's no error charge, so it's an earned run.
Lots of long innings for the Reds, starting with the 4th. Whistler had faced the minimum through 3 innings. He got a couple of double plays to help him. But then, as we've said a couple of times tonight, the second time through the order, which has been such a big issue for Matt, was tonight. The Reds had 3 homers in the 4th inning, scored 5 times after the Braves took a 1-0 lead. After 32 pitches, I think it was, in that inning, before leaving in the Reds' 6th inning after issuing a leadoff walk. De La Cruz and O'Flaherty have followed in relief. And now the count even to Suarez. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, you look at the first 3 innings and the work by Matt Whistler. Good defense. Record throughout. Bruce trying to steal. Got a double play on a nifty double play. 5-4-3. They got him out of the 3rd inning. He'd faced the minimum through 3 innings, and then it went south in the 4th with a leadoff homer by Cozart.
Cincinnati, with their 3 homers tonight, now have 101 homers on the year. They entered play tonight having scored 70 more runs than the Braves, but they've been outscored by 160 runs before tonight's game.
Their offense, with all their power, they're next to last in walks. They are 9th in strikeouts. They swing. They're not up there trying to work the count, with the exception of Joey Votto, who walks a lot. But everybody else is up there hacking, not looking to walk, and in this ballpark, you understand why.
And for the Braves, it's really 3 straight series against offenses that do that. The Rockies in Atlanta, the Reds here, and then we get to go to Coors Field for 4.
White Sox not a whole lot different either. It's right before the break.
That's a good point. Swing and a miss, and O'Flaherty is out of the 7th inning. Cincinnati gets 2 runs, 3 hits, and they extend their lead to 8-2 as we go to the top of the 8th. Braves Live. We'll recap all of tonight's action. We'll check in with Brian Snitker and head to the Braves clubhouse to get their reaction from Game 1 of our set with the Reds here at the Great American Ballpark. It's Braves Live after our game, presented by Xfinity. Adonis Garcia's had himself quite a night. He is our Zaxby's indescribably good player.
Outstanding numbers his last 10 ball games. Home run tonight to go with those 4 doubles. 5 RBIs, now 6.
Iglesias missed upstairs. Ivan De Jesus stays in the game for Phillips at second base. Reds have a big lead. And with Phillips' injury woes, Reds may be resting him for Game 2 tomorrow night.
Yeah, Terrell Jenkins gets his second start tomorrow night. I'm really looking forward to that.
Cody Reed for the Reds. He's a lefty looking for his first win. So is Tyrell Jenkins, who's 0-1. De Jesus tested early. He made a good play. There's out number 1. Joe, you know about the National Baseball Congress World Series?
In Wichita?
Yeah. Did you hear about the amateur team that's going to be playing?
No.
Adam LaRoche got some of his buddies together and decided they wanted to put together a team to play.
No kidding.
Pitchers on the team: Josh Beckett, Roger Clemens, Tim Hudson, Roy Oswalt, Brad Penny, Ben Sheets, Brad Tomko. I'm not kidding. Catchers: Coy Hill and Kobe Clemens. Pete Orr, Dan Ugla, Adam LaRoche, Brandon Inge. Outfielders on this team: Rick Ankiel, J.D. Drew, Ryan Langerhans. Tim Hudson's listed as an outfielder, and I think Chipper Jones might be playing too.
How can they not call Ryan Klesko? I mean, what fun for those guys. First of all, it's a great tournament.
Really?
Yeah, wonderful tournament.
And the story goes, according to Jeffrey Lutz of the Wichita Eagle, that Adam LaRoche put out a feeler, a text message, and all these ex-major leaguers were so excited they couldn't wait to say, yeah, we'll come play.
That's great. There'll be some liniment spread on that bunch, I'll tell you.
Well, their first game is Saturday, August 8th. And they say that I guess there's prize money involved or something. If there is, they say that whatever proceeds they will donate to charity, of course.
I never heard about prize money when I was playing it.
Yeah, maybe that's, I'm not sure I read
it was
that right.
All amateurs or professionals could play in it that had been released.
Yeah, I think I might have read that incorrectly.
Even so, this was back before the days of the Cape Cod League. It was certainly before aluminum bats and all that stuff. And there were teams. You've heard about the summer league teams in Alaska.
Yeah.
Fairbanks Gold Panners, the Anchorage Glacier Pilots, great team every year in Boulder, Colorado, and Liberal, Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas. There were teams all over the country that would come to this NBC tournament. It was the end of the summer tournament, and it was played on one field, double elimination, and there was a 20-second pitch clock.
Oh, cool.
Because once you got into the losers bracket, games went basically almost all night.
Wow.
Around the clock on this field.
Well, this all-star team that Adam LaRoche has put together, there's only one player on the roster under 30. Roger Clemens is 53 and is one of 11 all-stars.
What a great thing.
How'd you like to get after it with those guys?
That is great. Guy under 30's got to be Roger's son.
It is.
Yeah,
exactly right.
What a thrill for him.
It's 15 amateur and semi-pro leagues. That's what the NBC is.
Yeah.
And their annual World Series has been played at Lawrence Dumont Stadium in Wichita since 1935, and the park capacity is 6,400 fans. There's a base hit by Markakis down the left field line. And the Braves have something cooking in the 8th with 2 on and nobody out.
They will pack that place. City of Wichita always supports it well and turns out for that tournament. They will pack Lawrence Dumont Stadium for that, provided none of those guys break down before they get there. And you know who is really upset about this, that his name's not on there? One John Smoltz.
Oh, no question.
That LaRoche hasn't called him.
No question. Ground ball slowly hit toward Cozart, and his flip to first is in time. Runners move up 90 feet, and there are now 2 outs.
Of course, if you took all the pins out of John's shoulder and elbow, it looked like lane 7 at a bowling alley. But what a really cool idea. I congratulate Adam on doing that. I know he lives in Fort Hays, or near Fort Hays,
right.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Not that far from Wichita. Great idea. I hope they have a good time.
Oh, you I'm pretty sure that's a guarantee. But I guess if you want more information, I think there's a website, NBC.com
or org. That just come out?
Yeah. Gretchen Caney, our AD, just sent me that link tonight. 53-year-old Roger Clemens is the staff ace. Is the way the story read. So that should be a lot of fun. August 8th will be their first game. Maybe we'll find a way to get some video of that somehow, some way. No balls and a strike for Ender Inciarte. 8-2. Cincinnati leads in game 1.
Go back over those infielders again for me.
Infielders?
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, okay. Brandon Inge.
Okay.
Remember him from the Tigers?
Sure.
Adam LaRoche. Jason Nix. Pete Orr. Dan Ugla. Jack Wilson.
Man,
they're going to be really strong up the middle. Jack can always pick it at short. Swing and a miss by Ender Inciarte. Iglesias with a second scoreless inning. 8-2 in the 8th.
Braves baseball is sponsored by Georgia Power and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
8-2 Cincinnati. As the Reds come up for the bottom of the 8th inning, they'll take a peek at right-hander Mauricio Cabrera, who's ready for his 9th game.
He's been impressive, hasn't he?
He has.
7 1/3 innings, a couple of walks, 3 strikeouts, featuring triple-digit fastball and a curveball.
Two runs, 3 hits for O'Flaherty in his inning of relief. He also struck out a man. And now Mauricio will work the bottom part of the Reds order. That starts with Tucker Barnhart. Good night for the Reds catcher, 2 for 3 with an RBI. He's knocked in 11 runs in his last 16 games. And Recker couldn't catch up to 101 miles an hour.
102 on the Reds gun. That may have surprised Anthony a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they're used to that triple-digit fastball in this ballpark, aren't they?
They've got the gun for that.
One ball, 1 strike. Tyler Holtz on deck. He'll bat next for Iglesias, who looked good. Solid contact, but foul on another 101 mile an hour pitch. And you're right, our gun's a mile an hour slower than our gun here at the ballpark.
So maybe their guns, juiced up.
Yeah, right. Fly ball left. Jeff's got it. There's out number 1. Let's check in again with Paul.
Well, guys, I was talking to Cabrera earlier today, and I asked him if he always threw hard. He said, well, sort of. And I said, talk to me. He said, well, when I was 16 years old, I threw the ball 96, 97 miles an hour. And then when I was 18 years old, my arm was a little stiff. My manager said, just let me know how it feels. So he went out and played catch. He said, I think it's okay. Comes into the game, throws a pitch, turns around. It was the first time he ever hit 100 miles an hour. So the correct answer when I asked if he always threw hard should have been yes.
Yeah. I doubt that there were too many guys hanging in there at age 16 against 97.
Again, we talked about that fastball documentary and Walter Johnson, the big train, who Ty Cobb said threw a ball so hard that he didn't think it would be humanly possible for anyone to ever throw as hard as he did. And the name the big train came because his fastball sounded like a train going by when you stood on the platform in the station. There's the 2-0 pitch for Tyler Holt. Science showed that the fastest ever fastball was, at the time, 93 miles an hour. And here we are 100 years later. 100, 102, 103, even 105 once by Aroldis Chapman is becoming more and more common. Two balls, 2 strikes. Looks like Ross Ollendorf will be the next Reds pitcher. He's loosening up. Matt Whistler started for the Braves, gave up 6 runs in 5 innings.
So where do we go from here?
We can always move the mound behind second base. They haven't tried that yet.
No, I'm just wondering if this evolution that's taken, there's 103.
104 on the gun here.
Walter Johnson pitched when in the 20s?
Before
that,
I think it was in the 19 teens.
Okay.
But,
So
but he
100
pitched a long
years.
time. Yeah. Ball 4 high.
I guess my question is, in 20 or 30 years, are there going to be some guys throwing 115?
Well,
don't say no.
I'm going to say probably so. And I imagine that's a challenge for baseball now. We talk a lot about how our sport has been looking for power, has been searching for runs. Well, they radically changed the game after the 1968 season, you might recall, when Denny McLain won 31 games for the Tigers and Bob Gibson had a 1.12 ERA. They lowered the mound. Attempt to spur offense. Of course, the AL added the designated hitter a few years later. One ball, no strikes. It's the same anatomy, the same physiology, but I think we'd all agree that athletes today are better fed, better conditioned. They're utilized a lot differently, certainly than when Walter Johnson pitched. I don't know how many complete games he had in a year, but I'll bet 30, 35 was the norm for him.
But human beings are bigger.
Absolutely.
Across the board, bigger and stronger. It's a good curveball. It's a great off-speed pitch for him. And while that may be unfair to say they're just bigger and stronger across the board, there's more of them. There's more big men throwing baseballs than there used to be.
Swing and a miss. Excellent work to take care of Cozart. There's a strikeout, 2 are down. Did you face Nolan Ryan?
Yes, one time.
And?
No, he did not.
Okay. However,
Popped up.
in his day, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was as unique as they came. There were not many guys that threw as hard as Nolan Ryan.
There were not.
He was a top step of the dugout guy for you guys.
And he had a big curveball too to go with it.
So Nolan Ryan was one of 10 guys on his staff and maybe one of 100 guys in the American League who threw that hard.
No.
No?
No. Maybe one of 5 that could throw as hard as he did. I mean, he was a notch above everybody.
Okay.
And however hard he was throwing, if it was 95, 96, 97, and I don't know what it was because there weren't radar guns in the ballparks then. Everybody else was 90 to 92, 93. There was like the next shelf down were those guys.
And 2 miles an hour, that's still a significant shelf,
Sure.
though, right? As a hitter.
Yeah.
So, point is, guys like this, guys like Aroldis Chapman, guys like Nolan Ryan are becoming more and more common.
They are.
Than ever before in the game. And it's just like we talk about hitters. Not how many home runs do they hit, but how far do they hit them. That's just as exciting as the home run itself. I mean, here in Cincinnati, you can hit a ball over the right field stands and it can actually go in the river. And fouled back by Billy Hamilton, who's had a good night.
I think that's what I would do. He had a pretty good swing at that curveball. Against Cabrera, who's throwing so hard, I just go up there and hope that I got a curveball if I'm left-handed. If I'm right-handed, I'm trying to run out of the box somehow.
Three hits and 4 tries for Hamilton, 3 steals, 2 runs. Our first look at him in 2016. He's had a big night. And a chopper to second. Got rid of it quickly, and Mauricio Cabrera did a nice job in the 8th inning. He gave up a walk, but nothing else. Picked up a strikeout, and the Braves are up in the 9th. Joey Votto's had a big night for the Reds. A big blow in the 4th inning.
He got a fastball that ran back out over the middle of the plate, and he launched it. Long home run, almost 400 feet. That was his 15th home run, and he later delivered an RBI single, 3 RBIs on the night for him, and he has scored twice.
So the Reds have played long ball tonight. Didn't hit one yesterday. They hit 3 in the 4th inning alone, and now Ross Ohlendorf will try to finish things off for the Reds. He's their 4th pitcher in the game, and he's on for the 41st time.
Fastball, slider, changeup, and that changeup very effective. You saw his average against left-handed hitters. He uses it a lot against them to great effect. Fastball a mere 93 to 96.
See? Ohlendorf has the anti-John Gray windup.
Well, he's almost. I know Paul Byrd appreciates it. If he'd just kind of go twice, the old pump handle, I think that's what they call it, the pump handle windup.
Joe, if I can jump in, I love it. Yeah. Got a little momentum there, swing of the arms, can change the timing up with the double pump. I love whatever you want to call it. Sounds good.
Yeah,
just talking about throwing the timing of the hitter off and getting a little momentum into the pitch. I love it.
I remember you doing it, Paul, but you didn't step to the side like he does. You stepped straight back, didn't you?
You are correct.
Did you do that all the time, Paul? Did you start that way in the early days of your career?
No. I started doing that after shoulder surgery, and trying with the Royals, trying to get more velocity on the pitch and creating momentum out of the windup. And Carlos Beltran said he had trouble picking it up. It was confusing him a little bit. And that's when I had a good talk with one of your former teammates, George Brett, Joe, who explained how his hitting career turned around by just a simple move in his stance.
To short. Cozart, long throw and a gorgeous play. Man, did he play that well or what?
Good player. Not one of those headline guys that you hear about in the National League in terms of shortstops, but he is very solid. He is right there with Echeverria, with Crawford. Give me somebody else. None of them were with Andrelton Simmons. Nobody was at that point, but they were all just a notch below.
Freddie Galvis, maybe?
Yeah. He's with that group defensively.
And Paul, going back to the windup stuff, if hitters like George Brett or Carlos Beltran say that that's an effective thing for a pitcher to do, you'd be silly not to do it, right?
Absolutely. They thought I was joking around at first in pitcher's batting practice, and then it turned out to be a positive and what I was known for.
A.J. Pierzynski will try to keep the game alive. He'll pinch hit.
And Joe, in case we go, I just wanted to say thank you to you for remembering my windup, because my feelings were hurt because I too was not invited to the NBC baseball tournament by Adam LaRoche. So he will be getting a text from me tonight.
All right.
Well, I sent a tweet or a text out to Chipper and said, "Are you nuts?" But he's going to play, so the Kansas Stars, I think, is their team name.
Can't believe it doesn't have some hunting reference.
Well, Chipper said, "I can't think of a quicker way to have a third ACL replacement." Oh, man.
So he's going to play?
He said he's going to play. He said should be fun. I think it's great. So somehow, some way, we got to get video of that. Starting August the 8th.
I'm proud of those guys.
You bet. That ball's hammered toward the gap in left center field, and that's going to bounce off the base of the wall. AJ's on his way to second, and he'll slide in sort of safely with a 2-out double.
He wanted to pop up. It just didn't turn out that way. His left foot kind of missed the bag. Nice piece of hitting, though. Get him ready for tomorrow.
There you go. See if Gordon can drive him home. Tough night for Beckham. 0 for 4. Braves have 9 hits. As that one's up and away. That's in for a strike. Braves are down to their last strike now. Two balls, 2 strikes. Gordon would love to keep it alive and bring Garcia to the plate. He's had a huge night.
Yeah, and to snap that 0 for 15 that Gordon's in. He's fighting for this.
Hot shot. Suarez on his birthday made a gorgeous play, and that'll end it. That's 2 great plays by the Reds' third baseman to go along with a 2-run homer. And Cincinnati played long ball against Atlanta in the 4th inning. Plenty of fireworks during and after the game. Reds 8, Atlanta 2. A hot smash to the hot corner seals the deal for the Cincinnati Reds. Finnegan beats Whistler. 8-2 is your final. Joe and I are back to the Great American Ballpark to wrap it up in a moment.